Well, it's another Saturday and another Saturday hair day, right? Working outside, working the shop, little projects. It's gonna hit 90 today for the first time in Pennsylvania. And today's project is we're gonna try to build a solar pool heater. So got my sheet, a 4x8 wood that was stashed away, some extra wood. And we're gonna head into the barn now and see what we can do. As you know, my videos, I do not have all the fancy tools everybody. I mean, that's my shop, guys. You know, I mean, what do you want? So simple table saw, chop saw, and some little things. Got this old school thing. Wish I had a project to use that for, but that's old skill saw. So, but anyways, my goal, here we go. Paper, 4x8 sheet of plywood, build a frame. I'm gonna rip 2x4s in half to make a top lip. Then I'll coil I bought a 500 feet spool of 1/2 inch black drip line. I'm gonna try to coil it as tight as I can in 2 loops without it pinching. That stuff is brutal when you're trying to roll it. And then I'm going to put plexiglass pieces that I had around the house and put it on top. And then I'm gonna build some sort of little frame. I got some extra pressure treated there in the ground, and just to keep it off the ground a little bit. Oh, and I'm gonna try to line it with tar paper if I can find some tar paper. I think I had, yeah, haha, a little scrap of tar paper right there. So I'll be able to line it with tar paper as well to get that black instead of, last time I tried, I did it with paint and laid it on the ground. It worked great, but I had 1 inch line and it didn't heat the water fast enough. So let's see what we can do today, all right? All right, so we got done in the barn getting our pieces. Beautiful day outside today. Oh my goodness. It was probably the nicest day of the summer so far. But anyways, here's the scene of the crime about to happen. Pool sits up there, a little bit of a bank. So I'm not gonna build a stand where it's angled because I kind of got an angle already. You know, that's my setup right there. That's the pool heater that costs a fortune to run, which we're trying to avoid. So we got all our parts here, 4x8 sheet of 3/4 inch plywood, 500 feet of 1/2 inch tubing. We'll see if we use it, some tar paper. Here is my 2x4s ripped in half for my frame on top, where my plexiglass will lay on top of that and the piping underneath it. So those are 2 pieces 8 foot long. Those are 3 pieces that are 48 inches minus 3.5, the width of those 2 things combined. So it's 44.5. These pieces here are the frame for underneath it because I want it to be, you know, maybe 8 inches off the ground so it's not soaking in the ground moisture. So this is just 2. Let's see. Oh, you know what I did is I took an 8-footer and I made it 5.5 and 2.5. That'll make a frame to go underneath and support that plywood. It doesn't necessarily have to be all the way out to the edges, but just inside. And then I did a cross piece, and then there's 5 legs, 1 for each corner and 1 for the center. And the only thing that's not here is the plexiglass sheets. They're still over in the barn. I'll have to go get those once I get this thing assembled. Let's see what happens. So we've got it assembled. This would be the top side. You can see how I put those 1 3/4 inch all the way around as a top frame. So then when the pipe is coiled up on the top of that, the plexiglass will sit up on that. I have a center one there with holes drilled on 2 ends. I'm gonna put that in the middle so I can pass the hose through to 2 coils. We'll see how that works. And this is the back side assembled. You can see the frame that I put on the back. I showed you the pieces, the sizes, 5 legs, just set it on there, pretty simple. I made my blood donation as well. You know, typical backyard project. Gotta bleed somewhere, or else it doesn't count, I think. So, all right, so we're gonna stand this up and we're gonna start working on coiling and see how this stuff goes. I'm actually a little concerned because I've used this before and man, it's so prone to pinching, but we'll see how it goes. A little update here. So I've got this thing all set up. I got my tar paper on. That's my middle mark there. I drilled a hole through the side so that that could start the water, because the pump, I'll have a hose that goes from there to there. That'll feed this. And now I'm starting to wind this. Was having trouble winding this. I'm doing this by myself. So I took a little board here. You can see that the total depth of this equals this plus this. So I'll be able to leave that in when I'm done. I'll just tighten it down a little bit. But that's been helping me as I'm feeding my line in and twisting it, keeping it flat because it was springing all over the place. This stuff is always a nightmare to work with because it just twists and binds, and I can't find an easier way to do it. So a lot of work, but hey, we're getting there. Well, there's my finished product. It's not entirely beautiful, but it's going to do the job, I think. So hose comes off. There's my filter. Just the regular joint there. Have a regular garden hose over here. Clamps in there to get it to the 1/2 inch line. Remember, that's 1/2 inch water line. 400 feet is what I ended up fitting on there into 2 coils. You can see the little crossbars. We're kind of holding it in place. By the way, doing 4, actually I did 3, held it in place a lot better than when I just had 1. Made it a little harder to get it in, like when you're wrapping the coils, but it definitely held it better. And then that's just plexiglass. I did not cut it all the way to the exact size because that piece, you see the width of the pieces, they're not wide enough to do the whole one. And if I went sideways, it'd be way too long. So I just put them on like this right now, and they're just laying on there. The weight of them holds them on there, and we'll see how this performs. So then I just have the end here, and I took that down into the pool, and I put a 90-degree on there with 2 clamps so that hose goes down into the water there. And I don't have a temperature reading on it, but it is warm water coming out, and it's an overcast day today. You can see it's kind of cloudy, and let's see, it says I'm in Dalton, Pennsylvania. It's 79 degrees right now, and I don't know how to I don't have a thing to measure that water there, but I tell you what, I've had this thing going for a week before I made this finished video, and the water in the pool is definitely warmer, and it is water just by warmer by touch when you touch the water coming out that hose. So anyways, there you go.